He is the public address announcer for the Indiana Pacers. We have the pleasure in welcoming Troy Pepper onto Hoopsology. How's it going, Troy?
Man, what's going on, Justin? What's going on, Matt? Glad to be on the show, man.
Appreciate you coming on to the show. And we've profiled many public address announcers, and I just think it's a fascinating job what you guys do on just a daily basis. But before we hop into just your origin story of becoming the public address announcer for the Indiana Pacers, it's customary on our show just to get your first basketball memory or your favorite basketball memory, just to kind of get the origins of why you just love the game of basketball so much.
I would say my first basketball memory, man, that's a good question. I would say it started with me when I was probably 6. And I remember my dad, we was watching the Bulls play. It's a regular season game, and I'm like, who's the best player? And he tells me it's Michael Jordan. And then I
Mm.
started watching the game. And then as far as me like loving the game, I think it was probably when I was 6 or 7. I was playing outside, and usually we played in our Fisher Price court, me and my brothers. And we finally went to the big court in the neighborhood. And I remember this, like I can never forget this day. I looked up and I was looking at a regulation rim, thinking, "Holy crap, this thing is in the clouds." And that was probably my first like grasping of like, man, this is basketball. So I would say Michael Jordan, 1996 Bulls, and I would say me going to an actual real court, looking up like, man, will I ever be able to reach that with a shot or dunk it? So that's probably my first basketball memory, man.
So, how do you link that to your journey in becoming the public address announcer for the Indiana Pacers? And my co-host and I were talking about our other interviews with other public address announcers. You are a lot younger than they are. So, just what's your story in just getting this dream job for a lot of basketball fans out there?
Yeah, man. So I started announcing stuff, man. It goes back to high school. I've always had a voice for it. Love doing the excitement. I'm an extrovert. I'm always loving basketball, and I thought, well, I can't. I could play a little bit. I'm pretty good, but I wasn't, collegiate level or varsity level. But I was such a fan of the game. I'm like, what? I kept asking myself, what else can I do to be a part of it? And I was like, well, I can talk well, I can speak well, I can speak loud, and that kind of started my journey. When I was younger in high school, I was part of the broadcasting team, sideline reporting, because that's kind of what I originally went to college for, to be a news anchor. And I'll get to that later how that didn't work out. I chose another route, but it all started, man, with me back in high school and doing. Even when I graduated college, I got a computer science degree. What I do for a living is I'm engineer, software engineer, and but I never let go of the passion to announce. I would do high school games, man. I would do AAU tournaments. Friend calls me, hey, there's a college game. Yeah, I got you. I would just keep doing those locally, building my name around. But I wasn't intentionally like, all right, the goal is the NBA. You know what I mean? It's just a side hobby that really just let me just let off steam and control a room and get a crowd hype, you know what I mean, for plays, comebacks, and all that. And well, this leads to how I got the Pacer gig, which is a crazy story. I started off playing golf 2021, right? I was learning to play golf, got pretty decent at it. I still suck sometimes, but I'm good. Uh, my buddy was telling me, hey, the announcer job for the Pacers is open. I was like, okay, send me the link. He never sends me the link, like, doesn't send the link at all. And I'm like, okay. So I remember that night. It was a Friday night, and I'm laying in bed. It's 11:40, and it's due that day at 12. And I'm sitting there like, should I get up and do this? Record it and send it to him. I'm like, nah. I said, dude, it's probably a billion people trying to get it. Then something just told me in a moment, like, Troy, just try. I get up, try it, rush to my office, record a video, add some music to it, get them hype, do the intros. I send it, didn't think nothing of it. I played golf with the same guy who forgot to tell me about the link. Uh, we play golf. I'm 7 holes in. I didn't hear anything. They said by that week you should know if you're the top 4. Didn't hear anything. I'm like, it is what it is. Didn't put no effort to it. Then all of a sudden, something says, Troy, look in your spam folder. I was like, let me check real quick. I have 4 emails from the VP Operations Marketing, Troy Pepper. Please
Wow.
send your final video. You are a final 4 finalist for the job. I'm like, Oh shoot, man! I run. I leave. We didn't. We had 18 holes. I left at the seventh. I run home because it's getting late, and I said I gotta make sure this is perfect. So I'm like recording the video, and I'm still mind blown. I'm like, what? So I send the video right. The next day, I go to Disney World, take my kids, and my best friend that forgot to tell me the link. He's bringing his family with us, so we're all on the plane like, whoa, we're finalists! Like, what in the world? We get to Disney World Monday, didn't hear anything. Tuesday, nothing. Animal Kingdom, nothing. Epcot, nothing. Just nothing at all. Then the last day, my wife said, well, they could reach out Friday. I'm like, nah, they got somebody. I get see a 317 number call me. And I'm like, hello? Hey, this is Dean with the Indiana Pacers. Man, I thought I put it on mute, but I screamed so loud. Before he even told me I got it, I was like, let's go. Then I was like, wait, what's up? Well, we're asking if you want the position. I was like, yeah, yeah. And you would have thought I won the lottery, dude. My mind went crazy because it wasn't something that I was looking for. But I was doing all those years of PA announcing on the side. I was prepared for the moment. And it just kind of shows you preparation will always lead to success. When you just keep doing you, follow your passion and hobbies, perfect your craft. And obviously, I perfected it enough where they love it. And that was when I got the job. And this is my second season. And man, when I say it's been a journey, I mean, it's been the most amazing experience that I've ever been a part of my life, man. As a fan of the game, because I'm a Pacer fan, I'm a diehard. And to be a hometown kid, you know, working for my hometown team, it's the greatest feeling in the world, man. Greatest feeling in the world.
Amazing. So, other than volunteering some time, getting your experience in, checking your spam email, what other advice would you have for people looking at getting into announcing like this?
I always tell people the same thing. I say start local. Work on your craft. I think to make it at this level, um, there's a certain skill set of reading a room, understanding the crowd. There's a certain way I announce where I'm not going to be three, but all that if we're down 50. Like
Hmm.
it's discernment, understanding the flow, and knowing your voice, knowing what can make you stick out. Is it the three pointers? Is it the dunks? Is it like catchy catchphrases? Like, so I would say, man, start local so you can work on your craft. I've had a lot of kids, TikTok and Instagram reach out. How do you get started? I say the same thing, start local. Like, just you can't just join the NBA. It's not gonna happen like that. But I think me doing this since I was a kid, like announcing. Like I wanted to be a newscaster, caster. I wanted to do all that, but I kept working on it, and I think that's what kind of really set me apart. Because I saw some of the other auditions that were kind of okay. They posted on YouTube for the job, but I was like, man, I wasn't bragging. I was like, I think I'm more prepared for this moment, like because I was really prepared for it. So I would say, man, start local, start at middle school, volleyball, swimming. I was announcing anything just to make sure I'm ready for any opportunity that comes my way. So I would say just preparation at the local level and network. And I was always going to network events, Pacers, Colts, or whatever, just to keep my name surface somewhere. I said because it just takes one person to make a decision to change your life. So that's kind of what happened to me.
So, what is your philosophy in announcing? We've talked to many of your peers, and they have the different approaches in terms of the home team to the away team. So, what is kind of your game plan in terms of when the starting lineups are beginning? Do you take the philosophy of like just giving that kind of somber intro to the opposing team, and then of course I've heard your calls and that they're amazing. Just that energy for the home team, of course, but what's your philosophy in terms of just the away team, and also when the game goes on too, when it's close and the away team sometimes wins. What's kind of your philosophy in terms of those situations?
Well, the first thing is this: the away team, I hate you. That's my whole mindset. I don't like you. Why are you here? Just give us the victory. That's my whole mindset. So whenever I need to do that, I need to record myself announcing the away team. It is the least bit of effort. Like, we get a lot of Curry fans and, John Morant fans. Oh my God. I would say John Morant, Curry, and LeBron bring the most people. Like, you'll see their jerseys 80% of the crowd. And I make sure for any star player, I give nothing but my least excitement every time I call their name. So my approach is away team down here, and then home team. We are going above and beyond, especially for intros, but especially with a close game. Is I'm such a fan of the game as well, and I don't like when we do bad plays. I don't like when we do crazy turnovers. Uh, it's so hard for me to hold back. Like, you watch a game, your favorite team, you're like, come on, you want to just say something. Then I'm like, out of bounds, Boston's ball. Like, you know what I mean? So controlling your emotions, not only just to keep the away team with no energy, but also controlling your emotions as a fan for your own team. Because fans that cheer for the good plays are the ones that are loud and angry for the bad plays as well. So balancing that, it took me like a couple games to like make sure I never show emotion for bad plays. But my approach, man, is just to make sure the crowd knows I hate the other team. I get tweets all the time, especially I'm a big LeBron fan. I love LeBron, but when he's here, you would think I hate him. Somebody like people on Twitter. I remember the first game I did LeBron, and it was like 7 people on Twitter like Troy Pepper hates LeBron. He's such a hater of LeBron, and I wanted to reply like, no guys, I love him. Like I'm just doing my job because every time he would score, LeBron James. You know what I mean? Just very. One time he dunked and then everybody went crazy. I'm like, LeBron James. Like, just keep it. So I make sure that they know I'm a diehard and the opposing team is just, I hate you. That's the whole goal.
Troy, what would you say is like kind of the most difficult part of being in an arena and like managing those energy levels as well as knowing when to speak, knowing when to be loud, quiet down? What have you found sort of most challenging about PA announcing?
I would say, far as to, I wouldn't say it's too challenging. I think because I just have been doing it. And I don't think the challenging part is like when to be loud, when not to. I have a good sense because I do public speaking for my company. I'm used to control. I mean, this is all my life. I've always been on the microphone.
Mm.
I mean, giving speeches, traveling. I was just in the University of Tennessee. I gave a speech to like 200 engineers. Like I'm just always used to talking. So I kind of knew already how to professionally control a room. But I think the most difficult part starting out was the biggest challenge is a lot of people just think you get in there, you get the microphone, you read the intros, you call some plays, and that's it. It's more than that. It's a whole production. Like you don't just turn the lights on and give a basketball and everybody starts playing. This is not the YMCA. It's a whole career path of game operations. So while I'm announcing, the most shocking thing for me was like, oh, this is tough, is I have a headset on. And in my headset, there is like 50 voices. All
Mm.
right, this next timeout, we have Troy read Gatorade commercial. No, 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 Dr. Pepper commercial. Read it. Dr. Pepper. Like it's a whole bunch of stuff going. My boss yelling at somebody else that's in the dance crew that hasn't got out yet. The halftime person is not here. I'm hearing all that. And then especially when there's a change in the script. Do not read Dr. Pepper. We're going to read Pepsi. Like it's so much going on. And so my first 3, 4 games, I'm like, holy crap, what did I get into? And it took me a minute to kind of learn whose voice do I need to listen to? Who do I ignore? And now it's second nature, but it has some challenges as well, especially if my headset's not working. We've had difficulties like that. And I'm like, okay, no one told me this time out I'm reading a Microsoft commercial. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that was the biggest challenge of just how much busyness is. And but far as the crowd part, I don't think it's too challenging. It just really takes you got to feel it because if you're down 20, I say this is one hard part. Is if you're down 20, you can't be over the top, right? It just doesn't make sense for me to be yelling and
Mhm.
everybody's quiet. And when you feel a comeback coming, if we get down 17, then it goes to 15, then it goes to 13. So when we get close to that single digit, that's when you're like, okay, if they hit this three, I plan out this three, we're going crazy. And then we had a game like 2 weeks ago. We were down. We played Boston, win the overtime. We were down like 16. And that third quarter, I mean, we hit 5 threes in a row. And so my volume just went up, up. And then by the time we tied it, I almost stood up because I was so hyped. So it's like learning that to me, being down, and that was probably the most challenging part as well, too. Just learning how to build your momentum Because just like anytime I public speak, there's climaxes to your speeches. I'm learning there's a climax to comebacks and all that. So just it took me like I say 2 seasons to really understand the comeback part. So
Do any players on the Pacers have a preference in terms of how they want their name pronounced? Have they come to you for suggestions, or even maybe opposing players in terms of just how low energy you are on purpose? Have they just come to you? It's like, man, you did me like that. Why? Or did you? Do you have any stories of like player interactions, either home or away?
away, no, I think away people just know like
Yeah,
the announcer just doesn't like it. It just
sure.
is what it is. No, you know what I mean? It just is what it is. Even Stephen Curry is like, but our home players, I remember Tyrese Halliburton just got traded to us. And I remember his first day in Indiana. And I was making sure, I was like, I was gonna introduce myself, how you doing? I'm Troy, I'm the announcer. And I remember our interaction when I said, so how do you want me to say your name? You want me to like prolong the Tyrese? Or do you want me to say Halliburton? He was like, Tyrese. So that's kind of my tradition with him is like Tyrese. I hold the Tyree, then go Halliburton, like kind of whittle down like that. So that kind of interaction, yeah, but not really as far as they kind of go with how I roll as far as their names. Because every name, I try to take a different approach to it. I do a lot of practicing in the mirror. I call my brother, like, yo, how's this sound for Halliburton? How's this sound for Buddy? Buddy, he like. So I got a couple people I always like. How does this sound? Like, what does this sound like for them? So, but interaction with players, man, that's one of the best part about the job, man. Is it's like you never know when it's going to happen because you get there. I'm ready to work. I got to work with producers and all that. But I get there pretty early where I'm just chilling sometimes, just courtside watching them pregame, and you just never know who's going to spark conversation. And like the last game, I'm busy talking to Buddy Hield about I don't know the Bahamas, and then you'll talk to a trainer out of nowhere sitting next to him courtside, 2 hours for the game. We're talking about kids. We're talking because these are normal people, man. And it's funny. I'm in my 30s, so these guys, cats are young, like 22. One of like Halliburton, his first thing he said to me, "How you doing, sir?" I'm like, "Why you gotta call me sir, man?" Like, hey, I know you're 21, but God, dog. Oh my bad. I said I'm playing, but man, come on. I'm showing my age. I'm not that old. I'm pretty young. But these cats are younger, and but they're normal people, man. They play video games like me. They watch TV shows. So you just never know who you're going to talk to. But even with opposing players, I would say is fun. People ask me who is the most like conversational person that I've met on an opposing team. I would say by far Chris Paul,
Mm.
Jalen Brown, and Derrick Rose. Most conversational I've
Wow.
had.
Hmm.
Yeah, people like Derrick. I'm like Derrick Rose. Man, I remember my first season. Derrick Rose is sitting down. He's sat next to me. I was on my phone. I mean, we started talking about Jordans. Like we just talking about Chicago and Jordan. And like you ever have a moment you're like, this is happening right now. Like I'm sitting next to the Rose of Chicago. Like you know what I mean? Like, and then like with Chris Paul, he comes to the stat table. He talks to everybody, and we're talking about kids. And Jalen Brown came. He'll talk. He's very conversational. Devin Booker is very conversational. Like it's weird. Certain players you didn't think that would be so talkative, but they're pretty talkative. Then you get some that will joke with you during the game, and like it's funny to see their interactions as well with them with other opposing teammates as well. So it's kind of cool to see that. So, but you get some interactions though, man. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That's kind of surprising too, because you always hear athletes can be very, very particular about their routine and things like that, and traditionally pretty superstitious, like things like that.
Yeah.
So to have them just be talking to you really casually during the game, that's surprising to hear.
Yeah, it is. And there are some like here's my thing. So here's a player that goes with what you're saying, like their rituals and stuff. Our rookie Ben Matherin, right? He's second best. He's top two rookie in the league. I haven't said a word to him. Like he
Wow.
is so locked in. He has like a Kobe mentality. Like this dude, he doesn't even pregame in the stadium. He pregames in the practice facility. He's the only guy that does this.
Wow.
And like,
Wow.
I have not had one conversation with this guy because that's his routine, and he's like, they say he just sticks to it. And you'll meet some players like it's so funny. Like I know Tyrese, what time he's gonna come on the court, Buddy, Miles Turner, TJ McConnell. I know what time they're going to come out, how they're going to walk out. I start looking at patterns, and they have their own. Everybody has their own thing they do. And like Chris Duarte, I feel like one of his traditions is he comes to the stat table and says something to us every time. I ask him about his kids, and like Buddy doesn't really talk pregame. He'll point at you, say what's up, but he more so is during the game. He'll chat with us, like just making us laugh. Like he's just funny. But everybody has their own thing, man. It's interesting, very interesting.
I want to ask you about just entertainment within an NBA game,
Mhm.
just compared to other sports. I feel like with the NBA, they're on the cutting edge. And I just want to ask you, it's popped in my mind, do you see any innovations from when you first joined the Pacers to now to where you might see, I don't know, your job changing somewhat, or just in terms of technology, or just the halftime experience? Have you noticed any difference in terms of what the NBA or what the Indiana Pacers are incorporating in terms of just entertainment that's taking place, in between the sidelines when there's not action going on the court?
I think it's pretty solid from when I came. I know. So the Pacers, one of our biggest thing was, I think, was just what we're utilizing now is we spent over $300 million on our stadium renovation, and this renovation project has been going on since 2020. Where pandemic caused everybody to remodel their houses.
Yeah.
It caused the Pacers to say, you know what, All Stars coming next year, 2024. Let's spend $300 million, and they really gutted out everything. And because I used to go to games all the time, but the experience now, because of the I don't know, multi-million-dollar jumbotron that we bought, takes it to another level. So I think they're utilizing more of the technology that they've inputted. The lights are different. It's just a whole nother. It looks like a brand new stadium, because those that are Pacer fans that go to games, when you first walked in, you're like, "Whoa, what is this?" We had green seats, now we have gray leather, like fancy. You know what I mean? But we utilize our screens more, and I think that I feel like the halftime shows are better. I think we have way better quality now. And here's like, for example, like I told you, I have a headset on, and every timeout is a mission. Every timeout is a project that was already practiced and ready to roll out. Whether that's the dance team, whether that's somebody eating 100 hot dogs or something crazy. Like it's gotten pretty innovative with those timeouts, because the timeouts are only like a full timeout. It's like 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Man, it feels like it's 20 minutes because we jam a lot in there to make sure the fans are always engaged. And we get feedback from fans. We do surveys, and I believe, like my boss told me, our surveys that our engagement went up because of the how greatly we utilize our technology. New things we do with certain people that dunk the ball. All that stuff. So it's a lot that goes into it, but I think for sure the Patriots these last 4 years has transformed by far. I think the experience is way better than when I used to just go to games. So for sure.
Troy, I've got a lot of respect for the Pacers franchise in general. I mean, it seems like even when I was growing up in the 90s, when I first started watching basketball, and the Pacers for such a long time have had sustained success. And like even this year, a year where before the season, they were like, Pacers are going to be one of those teams tanking for Wemby, or like, you hear these storylines, all that stuff. Not the case. I mean, they've been very entertaining, very competitive, very fun to watch for the most part. Um, what do you see going on in that franchise that are kind of the keys to that? Why have they been able to sustain this success?
I think we've been able to sustain it. Because if you follow the Pacers, we're very conservative. We don't take a lot of risk in
Hmm.
trades, and that's why you look at our history. We've been I would say mediocre in the middle for years. For
Hmm.
example, I know we went to the finals in 2000, and then we never tank. We only had two lottery picks in the last 30 years. Like talking about like within the eighth pick. Paul George was 11th or something like that, outside the top 10.
Hmm.
And we just never, and that's with ownership too. We've always made our roster adjustments with trades, small trades, or we try to build and develop. And we've always kept that mediocre thing. And I remember looking at our squad when I first got on at the Pacers 2021. We had Karis LeVert, Sabonis, we had Brogdon. And on paper, we're like, okay, we made the play in last that year before. We got to get better. And then we just start. It didn't work out. We started losing. I think the
Mm.
first 15 games, I'm sitting there like, what is going on? I'm like, I want to announce a playoff game. Like that's my whole goal. I've never done that, but we've kept everything just mediocre through the years. And I think this shows the progression of our higher ups, where we said, you know what? Not saying I'm not claiming we purposely tanked, but we made a blockbuster trade to get young legs. Because sometimes we get legs and
Mhm.
we wear those out, and just years of like we just stay in the middle. And I think they look at Golden State, look at other organizations that started young in the draft, and they just said we're going to develop the crap out of these guys until we make a contender because we're not going to get free agency. Nobody's coming to Indiana. Like
Mm.
we're not going to get a top players. It is not. It is what it is. They go to the big markets. So our biggest thing is we gutted the whole roster, got Tyrese, and when I say we have overachieved, we have definitely, because nobody in the league, ESPN, ever thought we would be this decent right now.
Yeah.
Especially how we
True.
started off like the first 4 months in December. We were like fourth in the East. And then
Yeah.
Tyrese gets injured and kind of we've been struggling since then to find our rhythm back. But I think we made a lot of adjustments. I think we're on the right path. We have a good core nucleus in Tyrese, Miles Turner finally getting that extension, which I was waiting for, and he's having a career year because Tyrese brings the best out of Miles. And I've always said I didn't think Sabonis and Miles could work together, and it's proven they couldn't. But Tyrese with Miles, and then didn't nobody think Matherin would be this dog as he is. He's a bucket, man. And I think we're on the right path. Now, will we make the play in or will we kind of just give up? I don't know. We're fighting for our lives. We try every single game, man. And I'm like, we're this close to the play in. Let's just try it. You know what I mean? We're not gonna get the number one pick, obviously. But I like where we're going. I think I like where we're going.
One last question for you.
Yep.
Can you talk about you being a lifetime Indiana Pacers fan, just the fan base of Indiana itself compared to other fan bases with the NBA? What is that like just in terms of just the historic value of basketball in that state? Uh, but just with the franchise, this is linked to just its fans. I just think it has just seeing some documentaries, just Reggie Miller, just in the 90s to just now. It just seems like it's a different relationship compared to other fan bases within the league.
Yeah, because you got to think when we think Indiana, you think Texas, you think football.
Yeah.
Indiana's basketball. I mean, I saw a thing recently in the news where they were they had a article on the biggest high school basketball stadiums in the country. Out of 25, 20 were in Indiana. That's how crazy we are about our basketball. And Indiana Pacer basketball, we have a cult fan base. I mean, through the thick and thin. And I would say, the last decade, we've had some great runs. You look at the Miami Heat, Paul George days, going against them. We've had some great teams these last 15 years. And we're in the rebuild process now, but the fans have stuck through it. And it's a, we have the Colts, but we are a Pacer Indiana fan base, period. And it's awesome to see them night in, night out. We get our great crowds. And I don't care how bad we're doing, we're gonna get a good crowd, especially on a Friday night or Saturday night game. We're looking at a sellout. Even if we get beat by 50, we're still gonna get a sellout. But the fan base is truly amazing. And for me to even be a PA announcer to help with that experience for the fans, I think it's just and coming from a fan myself, it's truly an honor. I always say it's an honor because the greatest thing to me is when I walk into the arena. I get there by 4:30. Game starts at 7. I get there at 4:30 just to walk and look at the empty arena and just look at the banners and just say, man, I couldn't play in the NBA, but I'm in the NBA. And to be able to serve the fans like this, that's my whole goal, is to make sure, because at the end of the day, out of those 15 plus thousand people, it's going to be somebody's first game. And I'm like, I want them to remember the announcer created a good experience. Because my first Pacer game, I don't remember anything. I don't remember who we played. I remember I had a Reggie Miller jersey on. I was excited to go. We was in nosebleeds, but I remember the smell of the popcorn. I remember a loud, deep voice, and I'm happy that I'm able to be that for a first time fan, as well as the fan base there. And they show me a lot of love. It's been a lot of love, man. A lot of love.
Troy, this has been fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us. Please let our viewers, listeners know where they can find you on social media and then any other projects you're working on as well.
Yeah, you can find me in social media. It's at Troy Pepper on all platforms. It's kind of a unique name, so you're not gonna miss me. On Twitter, I post a lot on TikTok. I got a couple viral videos to check out as well as on Instagram and even on the Pacers page. I've been posting a couple times with my crazy reactions, which people think are hilarious. But it's just me being me. It's just who I am. But right now, just working on the Pacers, man. Just making sure I'm getting the crowd there, as well as doing voiceover work for various companies as well. And yeah, if you want to reach out to me, man, on either of those platforms.
Awesome. Troy, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, guys.